I am a Drake fan. Like Issa said in Insecure,
I'm a Moscato, but some shit Drake would like.
Why are you assuming I like Drake?
Every black girl that went to college likes Drake.
He just really gets us.
he just really gets us. Okay. So it's with a heavy heart I talk about the downfall of Drake. But as this is a spiritual channel, it's really framed in terms of his lack of growth or lack of evolution of his soul and sort of a stagnation that I think has continued in his music that makes it not relatable to me now that I'm 35. Hey, welcome to my channel. I am Dr. Sharice, and I help Black men and women heal from trauma and toxic relationships. And I love talking about God and spirituality and bodies of art and work that have been influential. Drake, I would agree with the people who are saying he is the rapper of the decade. He has influenced a culture and I mean wrote the soundtrack for my 20s that I love him. I am a Drake fan. I did a video about like 5 controversial celebrities that I love. I included him on there because, as we'll get into, Drake has had some sketchy personal dealings. But Drake, the person who was the creative behind these bodies of albums and the music videos and the collaborations with all sorts of people and different styles of music. I think he is incredible. I am so impressed with him and what he's done. I was a little, sad to see him lose to Kendrick Lamar. My boyfriend and I had a passionate discussion about who won versus who didn't win. He's definitely on the side that Drake won, and I feel like he's not even a Drake fan. I'm a Drake fan, and I feel like he's so clearly lost. Like, what metric are we using for win? Because if we're looking at numbers, right? But just between the beef, so to say, um, I think Kendrick won. If we look at the songs that people are still singing, I am still singing "Not Like Us." I'm still, I'm still right. So I'm curious, like, where do we go from here now that Drake has filed this lawsuit and sort of solidified his loss, in my opinion, because I do think it's not a lawsuit, right? But it's a discovery. I'm not a lawyer, all the things, but we know that part of this is to get to money or recognition or out of a deal or something as a result of what happened in the rap beef, all the things. I want to document like how we got here, from my personal experience as a consumer of every Drake album, probably up until after Scorpion, how I view Drake as, fumbling the ball and not necessarily growing. So, I mean, let's start with, maybe where it started. I had a friend who gave me the mixtape for So Far Gone, right? Drake's first album. And it came out in 2009. And I remember 2009, right? Like, my son was born in 2007. I remember what I was doing in 2009. And so felt really fitting that this was music that would resonate with me, right? A early college student who is navigating like relationships and raising my son and figuring out like what kind of woman I want to be. Very heavy on the what's my identity. I think one of the reasons I love Drake is because from his experience growing up in Canada, being biracial, having an American dad, visiting Memphis in the summers, and then going back to like Jewish life and whiteness and having to be around that and figuring out like, am I black enough? Am I not black enough? Am I too white? Like having to balance all of those things. And I think because he came into this world with the biracial identity, he was treated differently. And so early on had to explore what identity meant to him and how he was going to frame his own identity. I love identity. Like one of my favorite age groups to work with is sort of like the 15 to 25 when identity is a focal point. Who am I is the primary question that's being asked by any endeavor that the young person is taking in life. So I loved it. Oh my gosh, I loved it. And subsequent albums, I just really, really enjoyed. I'm not sure I have a favorite album, but I definitely love Take Care. It felt like I don't know. We say the soundtrack of my 20s again. It felt, right? I felt the music. The music was emotional. And as a highly emotional and sensitive person, I felt seen and revered in Drake's lyrics. Moving on to If You're Reading This Is Too Late and Views and More Life, I loved all those albums too. As a woman who grew up in the Caribbean, where I was born and raised in St. Croix, I appreciated the Caribbean influences that he had, and even how Caribbean in Toronto, Canada, all those places is different than Caribbean, say in Jamaica. I loved the way he incorporated on his album. I also enjoyed that he had grime on his album and exposed a whole genre or a subgenre that I had no idea even existed. I think, right, people who collaborated with Drake, people who asked him to be a feature, right, people who give some credibility to his skill or his style, depending on what he wanted to convey in the album, I thought was fantastic. I wasn't offended by Caribbean Drake. I thought it was cute. I really enjoyed it. But there did come a point where the music became less and less relatable to me. When Scorpion came out, I was 29. And 28 is when you do your Saturn return. This is astrology stuff. I'm not heavy into astrology. It's nowhere on my channel, but I value 28 more than 30. I'm definitely a different person after 30, but 28 for me was a transformative year. I just saw the world differently. I had gone through a certain number of things. I was ending a relationship that I thought would be my forever relationship. And so I valued different things, and I interacted with men in a different way. I viewed romance differently. I had an understanding about love being everything and everywhere, and I sought love in friendships because I was transitioning a friendship at the time too, and so I was valuing love not just as romantic love, because my romantic relationships mostly consumed my life. Like, I was me, the smart girl, and the girlfriend, right? That was mostly like, and the mom, but that was mostly like my primary identities. And there wasn't a lot of gray area in who I was or how I showed up in the world. After 28, I mean, I aimed to be myself in every situation, and I aimed to seek love or express love or show love, give and receive love in all of my environments, right? And so even in my like professional working with kids, I just started interacting with colleagues in a different, maybe a more meaningful or deeper way. I allowed myself to be seen even more when I would, primarily only give that to the person I was in a relationship with. And the world opened up for me. After 29, right? So the album that Drake releases after I'm in my 30s. I think I think Care Package was like a compilation of old songs. And to me, the albums that he did with people like Future, 21 Savage, I don't like them, like specifically. I do not like Future. 21 Savage, there was something always off about him to me. And then it came out that, I don't know, I don't know if he grew up, but I don't know where he grew up, right? I just didn't like 21 Savage. But yeah, it came out that he's not even like American, whatever, whatever. I don't care about the collaboration albums. But Certified Lover Boy came out, right? Now I'm fully in my early 30s, and I don't want to say it didn't make sense to me, but I'm like, I don't know Drake anymore. Like, I mean, I know him, right? This is the same person, but I don't I don't like this. I don't like it. I don't like it. Right? I didn't like it. I remember the first person shooter song he did with J. Cole. I know they have some other songs together. I didn't like the Slime You Out. I didn't like the controversy around the Halle Berry on it. He also had a song on there called BBL Love. And I'm just like, Drake, what are you doing? Drake, this is what you're doing? Drake is now 38 years old. Drake, what are you? Okay. And so one of the points my boyfriend made, men love strippers because we're getting into his personal life and the lack of growth, right? I think he would have really loved to be with Rihanna. And I think he could have been with Rihanna if he wasn't playing, just playing around. Have listened to full Drake albums. I love the old Drake albums, but there's always an interlude on there. There's always a messy woman leaving a voicemail. There's always, somebody trying to get with him that he doesn't want to be with. It's like he's always missing the love, like the real love. So I think he fumbled Rihanna. I think he could have had her if he wanted to, if he was ready, I think, for a serious relationship and to give and receive love. And maybe Rihanna wasn't ready either. Maybe she didn't even want him. I thought he could have had her. But anyway, right? Men love strippers. I get it. There's like a fantasy involved with strippers. They paint a picture, they give you what you want, or give you this illusion that you can have whatever you want. I thought it was wild that Drake had his first child by a stripper. I don't think it's wild that he had sex with a stripper. I understand, right? Men love strippers, right? That is an allure, it's an attraction. I just couldn't believe, right, when that whole rap back and forth with him and Pusha T happened. I couldn't believe that. Wow, baby with a stripper. Oh my gosh. And that's not like a slight to strippers. I love women who do whatever it is that they want in their life with their body. But let's not act like Drake is not on an upper echelon level, that he could have basically any woman that he wanted. And so to have a baby, I mean, okay, so my boyfriend's point was, who controls whether the woman gets pregnant? And I would agree. Women, we know what's going on in our body, right? It's me at 17 getting pregnant and like, oh my gosh, how does this even work? Is just a lot of ignorance as a teenager versus me as a woman now. There's no way. I've said this before on my channel. There is no way I'm gonna have an unplanned pregnancy now. Like, it couldn't happen. I know my body too well. There are too many resources available to me. I'm not gonna get pregnant by accident. That don't even go. Okay. So I understand that women know, and a wealthy, high status man, who wouldn't want to have his baby, right? So I get it, but I also feel like Drake lacked the discernment to realize that this was one of the women that wanted to have his baby and wanted to have one up on him. Because I can't imagine they planned, oh yeah, we're gonna have a baby and not be together. That don't even, come on. So there's that is a reflection of his character. My boyfriend had a point about these are things I can't verify, and he's not a conspiracy theorist, but these are stuff I've never heard of. Like, at some point Drake was thinking about moving to Jay-Z's label, and my boyfriend is an avid Lil Wayne fan, like maybe even Stan. Okay, you can't tell him nothing. So he lost respect in a sense for Drake, because what about your loyalty, right? So there's that. As a woman, Drake being in community with young girls was problematic to me. And it wasn't just Millie Bobby Brown, right? There were others who said Drake was messaging them. And while I'm not sure he was being inappropriate, like when I think of like a Shaq gives me very creepy uncle vibes, right? He would probably grab a girl's butt kind of thing, and smile or whatever. I don't know this for sure, right? I'm not sure Drake could do any of those things. But there is, because of your power and access, your status, you have to understand like your level of being able to make an impression on a young woman and what she might do because it's you. And so maybe you don't just open that door. Maybe, right, you just don't open that door. Like, you just don't text 15-year-olds. Maybe you just aren't the grown man in his 30s texting, 15-year-olds. It's just inappropriate. Him not caring about that, or not being able to view it that way, or needing the, attention from young girls, I think is, sad. I think it's sad, maybe even pathetic in a way, because I think a lot of people would view him, going this legal route as kind of like, this kind of whack, bro. What do you, that's kind of, are you even hip hop, right? And so then that gets me to, I was binge watching. I don't even know how I got on this like section on YouTube that was all about the rap beef between him and Kendrick Lamar. I wasn't really paying attention to it. because I've been checked out of Drake for a while, and I'm not a Kendrick fan, right? I respect Kendrick and his art, but I'm not a Kendrick fan. So when they were dissecting, the lyrics and who was on top and who won and all this stuff, I came across a video by a YouTuber named Professor Skye, who broke down, what I think we all maybe know or can see, that hip hop is created by and for Black Americans, right? And anything else is not like true hip hop, like what it was intended for. It doesn't mean it can't be really good rap or like this secondary form of hip hop. And so he used the metaphors of a duck, which I think is cute, also because Kendrick Lamar's name is Duckworth, right? A duck is a true form of hip hop, and Drake's problem, because we're back to identity, is he is a goose who thinks he's a duck, right? He's been in community with so many ducks that now he thinks he's a duck, but he's a Canadian goose. Drake is a Canadian goose, okay? And if you ever thought you was gonna win against, although he did win against McMillan, right? But you thought you was gonna win against a lyrical genius who is actually a duck, meaning the true form of hip hop, and has been branded by such by a lot of the top figureheads, founders of the hip hop music genre movement, all the things. So, if we're talking like culture, like Drake is not American. Like that already puts him outside of it, whatever it is. They are not like us. You know what I mean? So him being confused about who he is, where he fits, I think is a theme that he's endured for his entire life. And coming now to 38-year-old Drake, who just lost a rap beef. I mean, what happens next for him? I don't know. I think what would be best for Drake to do is a lot of soul searching, because I do think that his lyrics need to evolve. I think the content of what he raps about needs to change. I think the way he lives his life, I would not be surprised if Drake is lonely, right? Sad and lonely on a regular basis. Not every day, you know what I mean? Especially when you have a bad bitch in your bed. I can understand that, he's getting some entertainment. I have no idea, right? I don't think he's like abusing drugs or anything. But I do think there is a deep who am I now, right? Who do I want to be, that Drake is going to be going through, especially when he turns 40, because he's already had like this obsession with youth and looking a certain way, getting, the BBL Drizzy is not, my Drake. Oh, the BBL Drizzy is not made up. You know what I mean? Like I'm not sure he had a BBL per se, but he had some lipo. He had some changes done to his body. I think he just has a difficult time with change, with growth, and is stuck in a certain way. When he did that interview with, what's the little boy name? It's not Dirk, is it? Is it? You know which one? I don't know if you've seen where he gave his age, and the young man was like, "Oh, you old," or something like that.
I just left 35, right? And it's like,
you're getting up there.
well, all right. But
Just saying.
yeah, I guess. Yeah, you're right. How old are you?
25, so.
Yeah. I can't wait. You're gonna get old as fuck.
By the time I get
You're
old
gonna
as fuck, but when
and
I'm old as
burnt
fuck,
out,
you're going to
too.
be in a cane.
And Drake was just like shook, like he didn't know what to do with himself. I'm like, bro, you are gonna get old one day. You are going to be, okay, son, you are going to be an old head one day, for real, for real. And so I do feel like Drake has had his run on the top, and that there's probably no coming back from filing legal action against one of the most powerful music labels in the country and the world. And I mean, I hope he does. His next album is interesting and moving and deep in a way, or shows a certain type of growth that we've never seen from him. Drake be rapping about the same things with a bunch of young people and doing the same messy stuff. Like, when do we get more of Drake the father, like the responsible father? When do we get Drake the partner? Unless he never wants to be married or partnered. But this is what he raps about all the time. It's like when I talk about women who say they want a relationship, but you've been single for 7 years. That's not normal, right? If you want to be in a relationship and you have not been for years and years, you are doing something wrong. And so that's how I feel about Drake. I thought you wanted to be loved. I thought you wanted love and to, I thought you wanted to love, to give love, to receive love, to partner with somebody, to build something bigger than you could with yourself. I thought that's what you wanted. And if you're telling me instead that you don't want love, that you want this bachelor life, then I feel like I've been lied to in a way. But I'm hoping for the best for Drake. I'm very, 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 very curious to see where he goes from here. I know he announced he's doing a tour starting in Australia on the day that Kendrick Lamar is doing the Super Bowl. My boy Drake. Yeah, it hurts my heart a little bit, right, to see him go out like this. But is there any way? Yeah, there's a way to go out strong. I think we have a lot of people in hip hop. Like if you think of like LL Cool J and some of those folks who I'm not sure ever hit like a rock bottom or appear to be the loser. But Drake has let this thing go on for so long that now he doesn't even seem like he fits in hip hop culture. Yeah. Um, I'm hoping for the best. Who did you think won? What do you think about Drake's evolution or lack thereof? Let me know in the comments. And if you thought that Drake won between him and Kendrick, let me know. I really want to hear like the perspective on a Drake fan, a fellow Drake fan who thinks that he won, because I'm so sure that he lost. But yeah, let me know in the comments. Share this video with somebody who might want to hear about a black woman's experience with Drake. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel for more videos about blackness. And thank you for watching.